And we're live. And broadcast.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Not immediately. Uh,
Yeah,
I think we're good.
cool.
We're good.
Yeah. This is the first iteration of and yeah, I can see it's live on the dev too as well. Yeah,
Perfect.
first iteration of open source live. I was gonna say open sauce live, but that would have been something different.
The sauce is live.
Actually, funny enough, before you joined open sauce, we actually had we did do a live stream pretty consistently with one of our early engineers,
Yeah.
and I sort of fell off doing that like really quickly because everything got really busy. So I actually asked you to do this because we do a podcast together.
Yep.
And it'd be great to kind of talk about what we're working on, but also like what other people are working on. I guess we could commit to a weekly basis, but we
It's
won't
set
we
up
won't write that
now,
on paper. Yeah.
so I mean, we have
Yeah.
to use this now that we finally set it up, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. So I I'm trying to think how we'll do this. So I'm actually in your screen. You're sharing a web browser, right?
Yes. There are
Yeah.
no OBS tiles set up. This is just my desktop.
Yeah. So we'll spend more time on this like in the coming weeks, but like honestly, let's just keep it easy. So I think that we do a podcast called Open Source Ready, which I imagine almost no one's watching this. So let's explain it in case you watched a video within the first couple of minutes. Open Source podcast. We talk to open source people about AI. Basically, it feels like that's pretty much the subject.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny how it's gone from really the whole thing about AI, but with that open source angle. I think when did that happen? I remember talking to Mitchell Hashimoto and having a great AI conversation with him, and then it became more and more part of the zeitgeist, I guess.
Yeah, this was I think I forgot who was our first guest. You were our first guest. That's right. You were our first guest. And we were just talking about open source in general, like post open source. We had just joined the Linux Foundation.
Yep.
And I think then we talked to Matt, who was doing like the commercial open source foundation within the first couple episodes. And then Toby talked about like the Switzerland government and like security and the GIATAN thing that happened a couple years ago. But then we kind of morphed into, I think MCP became a thing.
Yeah.
And we had Steve Manuel, or Manuel, I think, how do you pronounce it? But neither here or there. He did MCP Run, which I think Steve's still doing MCP stuff. And then it's kind of just took off from there. Like I honestly thought like AI like was definitely my interest, but
Right.
I honestly thought that we did eventually start like moving into that space. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. My head is at. Sorry, I just got my evening event just got canceled.
Oh no.
Yeah, good
What were you
times.
doing?
I was actually going to Heavy Bit was going to have actually our podcast host was having a dinner. So turns out that I'm not going to the dinner.
There you go. Nice. Cool. Well, maybe we can kick some things off talking about the current happenings. I know you had a bit of a backlog of things that could be interesting to go through. I have a few things that might be interesting to bring to the table. I can pull up our GitHub discussion real quick. So let me do maybe a new window, and I realize that's probably going to nuke the tiles here, but that's okay. The people will be okay. They'll figure it out. Okay, yeah. So if you drop into that GitHub discussion, we can discuss.
Got it open over here. So I put in the cup. Actually, I realized, did I not put any links in here? Yeah, let me drop some links. So like in the podcast at the end, we usually do these reads. So I figured like the stream could basically just do like more freeform reads. So I'm just gonna drop in links and then I'll add color commentary to them. But like
perfect.
Yesterday, Jason Warner, former CEO of GitHub, now he was the CTO of GitHub. Now he's the CEO of Poolside. Is that his current title? Co-founder of Poolside AI. So Poolside, it's funny because like what does Poolside do? They provide hardware to train models. I think is like the latest thing. They've raised like $1 billion to do this.
Sure.
To be honest, like I'm actually looking at my uh, it's funny because I'm actually streaming on Twitter, so I think I'll actually share my screen
Yeah.
and
That,
show this actually on the Twitter side.
oh, I have it up here
Um,
too. So yeah, you share and then
yeah. So
share in Riverside if that's where you're streaming, because then that will be a
yes,
separate a separate stream. Yeah.
yeah. So like basically, Poolside is a building models for the future. Actually, I haven't looked at their website since it just had the word Poolside. Um, yeah, I guess they're building models. Like that's kind of crazy. I've literally not looked at their website since like maybe a year ago,
Sure.
when it just basically was just like had a bunch of like thought provoking things. Speaking of thought provoking, Jason did a tweet, which it was a quote tweet of whoever this person is, Illy. Um, yeah, person who's active on the X and
Yep.
was like, remember when Cursor said, uh, Cursor, sorry, when people said Cursor went AI because the model doesn't matter,
Right.
the product is where the money is. Turns out they were completely wrong. So like that was actually sort of a knock against, I guess, the unspoken thing that's happening around with Cursor, which I think a lot of folks are kind of moving away, not renewing their contracts. Have you used Cursor, John?
I have. It's been a hot minute, but I know there's been a lot of different models that they've enabled on there. You know, obviously the CLI space with Cloud Code and Open Code and Gemini CLI and Codex and all these. Um, yeah, why don't you give me the down low on what's going on?
Yeah, so like basically like Cursor was a fork of VS Code, I think famously.
Yep.
They basically started from there. They had it open source for a bit and then they closed sourced it.
Yep.
But like that's not the actual important part. It's a IDE that people leverage to interface with their models and like generate code. So like it used to be auto completion and tab. Now it's like full on AI agentic interactions. And I think Cursor is probably the first experience I saw where like a full-on agent was writing the code and you're just chatting back and forth, which is
Right.
this current modern take on writing code, AI coding. Um, but I think of what a year ago, Claude Code came out, and I think about like last summer is when Claude Code really took off.
Right.
And like there's a whole movement of people who are just using the like there's a bunch of different flavors of writing code with AI, but there's a whole movement of folks who are not even opening up the IDE. Like you're just kind of like you're basically chatting with the agent. You see like some like semblance of code being written.
Right.
And like me personally, like I'm doing a ton of that for my side projects. And then at PR time is when I actually start reviewing the code.
Right.
So that's when I used to open up the IDE at that point and then see what changed.
Right.
There's actually this new feature in Open Code where it would actually give you on the right sidebar, it shows you the files touched
Yep.
and the lines changed, like the addition deletions, which I think is actually super clever for Open Code to do, because at least you get like an understanding of like what's happening. Like, did you ever read the Rick
Right.
Rubin book?
Oh gosh, what is it called? That's not the artist's way, is it?
No, not this way. Creating, thinking. Hold on, Rick Rubin.
I do have it. I don't know if I read it all.
The Creative Act, a way of being.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so this is a great book. Definitely a great read. Highly recommend it because I think this is the way AI coding is going,
Hmm.
where you don't have to be actually a musician anymore. Like you can kind of just know what good code looks like. So like the value there is like you kind of know, like you personally you've written code for years. So like you kind of know what good code looks like. So like if the agent wrote code and then opened up a PR and then you take a look at it,
Yeah.
like that's basically this book. And I think we have a bunch of new engineers who are now kind of growing up into this situation where do I need an IDE or can it just like does a feature work? And if it works, fine. But then can I use my knowledge of like I've fixed features before? I know where this is going to go wrong.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting this, kind of take from Jason Warner, because I went deep on this and went even into the next thing that he was subtweeting from last year, which was this longer form thread. Of course, I'm not going to get it because I'm not signed in, but um, on kind of the different kind of AI companies, or like I guess AI products that there are or there will be. Maybe the lowest tier being those like, oh, it's the Uber of AI, or it's the Instacart of AI. And maybe those top tier companies are the like model foundation companies, or the like AI labs really. Where do you think like Cursor or some of these maybe in between companies are? Because well, Cursor does train some of their models now, don't they?
Cursor does train models, and that was actually what Jason was chatting about. Which he's like, it
Right.
actually this is less about Cursor, and this is more about like the broader ecosystem.
Sure.
So which I didn't realize Cursor was basically fine tuning Chinese models. I don't know if that's like how where the truth is on that, but like Jason's a smart dude. He's pretty informed on what's happening in the industry.
Right.
But like we're in two different phases. Like we're in an arms race for like attention in AI. So I think there's a lot of money to be thrown around. Um, but I think where we're at right now is like if Quad Code, if basically Anthropic's Sonnet was like really great for agent decoding early this year, still is.
Yep. Yep.
So a lot of companies centralize around Quad's models for coding. So then same thing of Cursor. Cursor also centralized their product around Quad, but also leveraging other models. But like, let's face it, like Quad was like the go-to for most agent decoding.
Right.
The Cursor in the summertime raised like 900 billion or $900 million on like a 20 billion valuation to train models. So like they can basically build their own sandbox for engineers to play in. So like that was a bet, and it worked out for them as far as fundraising.
Yeah.
But the game of training models is like a very expensive one.
Yeah.
As we're seeing a lot of these like foundational model companies kind of like pivot to do something different or join a larger, like an adept, like join another, like the founders go to join a company sticks around and supports the founders' efforts in building this like engagement and advancing the Amazons and the Microsofts of the world. So like we've seen that pattern play out last year. But like for this was like we're basically just seeing like some holes within infrastructure when it comes to AI infrastructure, and then also foundational model ownership. So like we see OpenAI had like a what was their last fundraise?
Oh, it was. I mean, aren't they currently still raising like $1 trillion?
Yeah, 100 billion on an 830 billion valuation.
Wow.
And that was in 2025. So I think it's an open secret that OpenAI is going to be doing an IPO this year.
Sure.
So I think they were targeting towards Q4 is like they've already started the process on that. Like that's going to be an insane IPO, or it could be like a pretty underwhelming. But I think the entire industry is probably pinned against like OpenAI should make it, or else we're going to have a bit of like a red swarm,
Bit of
a bunch of
problem.
other AI companies. So
Yeah. There was a really interesting thing I was listening to in a podcast about how I think this might have been Hard Fork, where they were talking about some new like financial instruments that, you know, with this kind of money, OpenAI was kind of trying to get NVIDIA to do, where they would get NVIDIA to lease them GPUs in probably data centers that have already been racked, is my guess why they would want to do this, to like kind of skip that hard step of racking servers and doing the whole like actual build out. But they release those from NVIDIA. NVIDIA keeps that on their balance sheets, and then OpenAI just gets to train on them instead of having to like do the data center build out, which sounds very scary because NVIDIA having a bunch of depreciating assets, GPUs, on their balance sheet is maybe not great for them or their business.
Yeah. I also realized, complete like side tangent, I'm actually not streaming to Twitter right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I might actually turn on let me see if I stop. If I go off live, and I'll turn on LinkedIn because that was the other one that I
Sure.
well, actually, no, let's keep it going. You're live, but basically everything I'm showing on the screen, like no one's seeing, because no one's watching my stream
Oh
at
no.
this point. And it looks like I have to like stop the stream to even like make this work. So
That's fine.
I'll keep fiddling with it, and like eventually I'll figure it out on my end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing, what was I getting at? Basically, oh man, I hit the wrong button again. Anyway, I'll keep fiddling it on my end. But
yeah.
but going back to Jason's point, which is like we're basically just like we're basically seeing like the AI infrastructure world kind of really play out currently, and it's providing us like we can basically see where the holes are. So actually, I should have probably had like cliff notes for Jason's thing. But it's a very long-winded chat as well. Yeah, it goes in super high detail.
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting. Another thing from this that I think I wish he had double clicked on, because I really do think is huge, is Google. And the fact that, some people would say that they're the most well positioned in this new world of infrastructure to be that, top tier winner in all this. They have a diversified set of portfolio businesses and products, obviously the cloud stuff, but they have all the TPUs. And if they can get good inference to work on TPUs, which they have just butt tons of, then again, all roads lead back to NVIDIA. Then they don't have to pay NVIDIA tons and tons of dollars to scale inference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting how this will play out because I think the like definitely NVIDIA has done a lot of investment on a bunch of folks. Like they are definitely like actually, what is NVIDIA's strike price or stock price? So I'm going to go live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, which I think X is going to fail. There must be something on the like some dollar that I have to like pay for on the X side.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, here we are. What was it? Nvidia stock
It's
price.
like 190 right now. That's about where it's been hanging for the last month or so. Going
Oh
steady.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like yeah, what's like the 90-day moving average? Yeah, it's looking pretty decent. I think they had a really good last year
Yeah.
when it sort of like took off with all the GPUs, but yeah, hardware is like it's crazy because like even like I've got RAM in my closet that from like an upgrade I did a couple times
Oh,
for two
wow.
different computers. Like I could probably make money on that, but I have to like dig in the closet to figure out where it's at.
Yeah.
But uh, and then I have to deal with eBay or whoever. Not
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah, very true. Is it DDR4? That's where the
Uh,
rank is.
yeah, I think at least one kit is.
Okay.
Actually, I think they're all DDR4. Yeah,
Nice.
it was. I went from like I think I have like 64 in both machines, but I have like a 4 stick kit to get up to 64 with 16, 16, 16.
Oh, wow.
Um, but
Dang,
I was
you
like, oh, let
are.
me go
Yeah,
down
you
to
do have
two.
it. You do have the RAM.
Yeah, it's like that and gold, I guess. I don't know. Is gold still going up?
Well, it was silver last week, but
Silver.
yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, wild. Yeah, I actually I have no idea if this is actually streaming at all. I'm like looking up uh actually I don't know if I'm gonna use Riverside moving forward, to be quite honest.
Oh no.
We'll just keep it for the podcast. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I am live on my YouTube, but for whatever reason it's only sharing audio, which is crazy. Yeah.
Woof. Well, this
Yeah, there must
I
be
mean, YouTube's telling me we're like 60 people are probably on the Dev 2 page. Hello, Dev 2.
you know what I have to do is I actually have to I gotta switch to I'm gonna stop this because I'll do it next week we'll figure out the other end.
Sure.
We'll talk off air on how to make this work.
Yeah.
But I think that because the studio we were in for Riverside is audio only because I turned off the video because
Oh, sure.
I never used the video. It's only doing audio, which is also why it's breaking everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Makes sense. Weird. That probably makes sense why I couldn't add my YouTube either. But hey, scuff stream, can't complain. Jonathan says he can hear me and see me. We got it.
Excellent.
Cool. What what did you have next for?
Yeah, there's another. So I basically this is basically let's just look at B Dougie's bookmarks. Um,
Hey, that's okay. You got the insider
so
knowledge.
yeah, so we actually were chatting about Jason, who's former GitHub and Poolside, his sort of thought provoking post on
Right.
um not cursor because he very explicitly was like, this is not a cursor problem. This is like a broader industry growing up problem. Speaking of which, the former CEO of GitHub announced his project, which
Yeah.
is Entire, which I think right now it's CLI. And if I have this like video to let me drop it in the I've got so too many tabs now. I'm gonna drop it in the show notes and then I'll do some commentary on this later. But
Yeah.
so Entire is a CLI. It's basically their first feature is like checkpoints. The idea is like when you use Git to basically, if you're using AI, you'll have checkpoints. They could store some like metadata around the session,
Right.
just like Git commits. I imagine they're building way more, but I was going to ask, like, did you get a chance to like look in deeper into this?
I did a little bit. Yeah, it's an interesting swing at like, coding agents obviously touching, you know, code repos, which are often tracked by version control, Git most of the time, which you can then put metadata onto to say like, okay, this was this prompt or this model touched this thing. There was another project you had put me on to, was it Git AI? I think was like a light swing at this like a month or two ago. And even,
Yeah.
again, Cursor, they have this agent trace dev, I think is what it is. Yeah. This agent trace thing, which is, oh no, I just killed the window. All right, I gotta bring it back. Wow, terrible. Please hold.
Everything
All
crash?
right, we're back. It did. Well, not OBS, hilariously, but Chrome decided to bork out. But
Oh, beautiful.
that's okay. I think I saved it. Um, I was in the middle of saying something, which was that I think it's interesting, and they will. This was the real thing I wanted to say, which was that they probably could be, who knows, but I think the bigger swing here is, finding that next thing after GitHub, that next thing after GitLab.
Yeah.
It's version control, yes, and it's metadata on version control, sure, but like anybody who's on GitHub every day or, in these systems knows that um, it's kind of a pain interfacing with like the existing way of doing things. Like even like GitHub's competitive edge, which is really like the pull request, right? And then all the stuff that surrounds the pull request, like actions and issues and blah blah blah. Like it's different in the agentic world. I don't know. It's hard to put the thumb on, but I think it's interesting that Thomas is going to take a swing at this, right? That's my hot take, at
Yeah.
least, right?
Yeah, it is interesting because like it feels like as if so also former employee of GitHub as well. So like worked with Jason, worked with Thomas. Um, it feels as if like I don't know if I have to like mince words or whatever, but it feels like as GitHub is like in a position where they were like they had some ownership in the market for Copilot, like an
Mm-hmm.
AI like just generative coding and everything like that. Like they essentially owned the market like first half of last year, maybe first quarter of last year. And then Cursor got to the point where it's like it was less of a toy. You finally could do some real stuff. And
Right.
then agentic coding happened where it's like, oh no, I'm gonna watch it write code for me. Like I'm
Right.
still around. I could see the files that touched. And that this like kind of exploded the industry where frankly Copilot is not cut up. And they point of like GitHub Universe last year, they announced Agent HQ. They provided a place that everyone else can come play with GitHub and have like its own agentic software and like stick agents onto your issues and PRs and stuff like that. So like we're now seeing people lapping GitHub at this point. But now we saw this something like this is what I've been seeing in the industry actually because I was at Continue, and while I Continue, like we saw this like Code Rabbit also like
Yeah.
kind of come out of nowhere, had been a thing for a bit, but like really took off during this agentic world where now I'm spinning up a bunch of PRs. I need someone to review this, but I'm a solo like weekend warrior.
Right.
So Code Rabbit's gonna like show up. We've got the Cubics, we've got Graphite, which acquired by Cursor, which I'll get into that in a moment. But like now you have all these like PR review setups that people can now have. Yeah, basically you can like vibe code a bunch of stuff really quickly or context engineer or whatever you're gonna call it.
Yep.
But you can have the agent also keep you in check based on like the rules and the skills and whatever. Um, so like we had this like arms race in the summer for everyone wanted to hook into the PR.
Yeah.
So like that was the hook, and at Continuo we were calling this a continuous AI workflow. So like the trigger is PR open, agent kicks off, does a thing, agent's done, and then the outcome is like PR reviews a comment. And like that same workflow can be like choose whatever your poison, but that now you're engaged. Um, but that was it felt like that was it for GitHub. Like PR is like they're solid.
Yeah.
But also like I saw the world of like now we have like Devin could do review bots, Linear could do like review in Linear. Um, Graphite was doing reviews as well, which now they got acquired by Cursor, and
Yeah.
Cursor can have another like a second win to essentially like build something that you don't need to go to GitHub for, and GitHub becomes your Dropbox essentially for your code.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's an interesting space right now. I was actually talking to Gergely about this, who just had Thomas at his event yesterday, and I just found that also he's an investor of Thomas's thing as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I started to Gergely a couple months ago about this, and like because the GitHub acquisition that sort of like solidified January 1st this year, or GitHub is now Microsoft, like through and through. Like
Yeah.
there's no
Well, there's
longer
no
like a
GitHub
separate entity.
there's no GitHub CEO, right? Like they're
No,
fully ingrained in Azure
yeah, they
AI,
report up into the core AI.
Core AI. Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's like okay, we're solving Microsoft problems, and we're moving that needle.
Yeah.
Um, so it feels like it's basically like full on, like everyone's going to be attacking GitHub from left and right because like they don't have this like okay, they have a ton of money, but they also have like a bunch of like OKRs they have to like adopt based on the core AI vision.
Yeah.
And core AI is now so like it's inclusive of Office is now reconfigured into like Copilot.
Yeah.
Like there's all these other things that are distracting for GitHub that they now have to participate and have to sort of align with moving forward. So like if you don't have to worry about enterprise dollars continuing to pay for your project management tool,
Mm.
um, which I'm going to switch over to my headphones. I just realized been on these for a while.
Oh, the AirPods. Classic. That's how you know you're on calls all day.
John McBride.
Hello.
Sorry, say
It's
something real
me.
quick.
Yes. Testing. Hello.
That's interesting. Oh, I gotta switch over here.
Welcome to the Open Source Ready podcast live. Scuff Stream edition. Super Scuff Stream edition. Hello.
You know, I it's interesting. I'm actually getting no audio out of this.
Well, you're coming through loud and clear for
All right.
us.
You keep talking. I'm gonna grab my other headphones.
Okay, sounds good. Uh, Another thing I was going to say, dear viewer, was that I originally thought that the swing on this was going to be around a different version control system. Primarily, and maybe it still will be. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the like JJ Hub showed up, which is Jujitsu.
Yeah, JJ Hub would be that would be awful name, but perhaps JJ Studio would probably be better.
Yeah. But here it is. I mean, it's a really cool piece of software because it takes sort of a different approach with version control, and it actually aligns pretty well with like how like Git work trees is like really painful to use. Actually, you know, it's powerful, but um, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody was like, "What if we just adopted like a better tool that was like the actual bedrock of making, you know, all this not work, it actually work with agents, right?"
Yeah. Quick question. Are you sorry,
Yeah.
I'm catching I have a delay that I'm watching your watching your screen that you're sharing, but
Oh, sure.
yeah, we'll work with that.
We should be in sync on the call, but and to the
Yeah.
stream since that's the one pinpoint.
Yeah, that's so I feel like there's like a whole world that's kind of opening up right now
Yeah.
for just like the new wave of AI. I think the we've been chatting with a bunch of people recently. Like the question that's been coming up is like it was LLMs. Then what was like LLM? Then we had this RAG thing. Then we had this like agents, basically this world we're in. And I think that like the question to you is like, do you think agents are sticking around, or are we evolving into like the next phase, and like Elon robots?
It's a really good question. I mean, I was actually just talking with somebody yesterday about this. I think the like the genie's not going back in the bottle. Like we're not closing Pandora's box. It's not like one day we're gonna wake up and it's like, oh surprise, like Claude was fake. It was actually a bunch of people in a data center like typing back to you really
Yeah.
quickly.
What was it? The always Indians, like whatever the
Yeah.
joke was. That was the Waymo thing, or I forgot what the joke was. Oh no, it was
Yeah.
a company that said they had AI going,
Yes, that's
but
right.
they had faked it the entire time. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
a
right.
couple years ago.
That's
Yeah,
right. So maybe there is a Pandora's box here or there that you can close, but I mean, especially with like agent coding, like we're not putting the cap back on that. Like even for the most, maybe not like the most important things. Like yeah, review the code, look at it, understand it. But I think like the next phase I think will be that plus something else, maybe robotics, maybe the GPT transforms, no pun intended, to the next thing, or we invent like whole new ways of doing ML, reinforcement learning, and can build even bigger, better, more powerful systems. Then AGI is unlocked and none of this matters. But
yeah,
for the world that we live in today, as a realist, as I would say, yeah, we're not putting the genie back, and I think it's all here to stay, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is going to happen in the coming months. But
Yeah,
speaking of which, at least for the open source live audience, open source ready live audience, like you started a company. We mentioned
yeah,
at the last podcast, but this will actually go out before. Like this is live now, so like people are.
it's out
This
there.
is like, yeah. So like you started a company.
Yep.
I just recently joined you in this effort, so
Yeah.
just joined this on Monday. So
Welcome.
you heard it here first, folks. But I think that since you have more control on like your screen,
Yeah.
probably be worthwhile like probably showing tapes and what we've done, and maybe share like a little bit of a show and tell
Yeah.
as part of this, and yeah, we can widen it down from there.
Perfect. Yeah. So here's the repo tapes. This is at github.com/papercomputecode/tapes. Go throw us a star. We're very close to 100. When we hit 100, nothing will happen, but we'll be very happy. No, but seriously, Tapes is an agentic telemetry system, and the approach on this is a little different than some of the things you maybe saw in kind of this first wave of AI things like the lang chains and the lang graphs, where instead of a code SDK or forcing you to instrument telemetry or storage of your sessions in your code or in your agent, with these black box agents like Claude Code or Gemini or whatever, instead you can just point them to a transparent proxy to actually then get all that data stored. We do some embedding so that you can actually do a search. We're bringing on some really interesting capabilities soon with memory and memory providers. And one of the ways I like to think of this, if we didn't call it tapes, maybe we called it pipes or something. We're piping around all this agentic information so that you can keep it and that you can actually start to understand it and you can actually look at the what and the why and the how. So let me bring up a terminal real quick. This is going to be interesting. Let me just bring that down. There's a little preview of something else that we're working on. But fret not, dear user, because you will find out eventually. Okie doke. So let me blow this up for stream people. So I should have tapes on here. It's a CLI and well, close enough. Tapes version. And yeah, this is one that I recently built. We'll probably cut another release today. We could really cut releases whenever we want.
Yeah, when it's your company, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. There's nothing stopping us. But the way that you would kick this off is doing just tapes serve. Brian's also been working on something interesting, tapes start, to actually like bundle up a bunch of other stuff. But this starts the API server and the proxy, the reverse proxy. And that reverse proxy goes out to an LLM provider like Anthropic's APIs, OpenAI's APIs, Ollama by default. So let me actually pop open Ollama serve down here, and that will, well, Ollama's already running. That's great. So Ollama's running. It can connect and do, chat with Ollama on that. We also shipped, mostly for demo purposes, this kind of terrible chat UI, Tapes Chat. It's great. Actually, let me get out here and do tapes checkout so I can do a cleared state. tapes chat. So this starts a new chat session and is mostly for the purposes of showing the checkout stuff, which we'll look at in a second. So if I do hello, Brian, Brian from YouTube, and Olam is going to think for a hot second. Hopefully it doesn't nuke my computer and use all the RAM with OBS, Chrome, and oh, it's fine. Okay, it's a small model. I think it's just like a Gemma 3, 15 billion parameter model or something. So it responded. That's great. We could say something like, "Where is San Fran?" And it'll tell me exactly that.
San Fran, man, that's folks in San Francisco hate when people say San Fran.
Oh, really? Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know where like that's such a big deal, but also where San Fran comes from. But yeah,
that's funny. I'm out on the East Coast, so I would have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Frisco.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a little chat session. That's great. But this actually opens up some of the interesting capabilities we could do with tapes. So if we do a tapes search, that whole session was discussed or it was stored. We got the embeddings for it. We put it in a SQLite database locally. Other storage providers coming down the pipe. That also uses SQLite Vec, which is vector embeddings storage, which is really nice. So we can do a search for our favorite word, San Fran. And again, this UI is not great. Maybe we should get Isa to look at this.
Yeah,
because I have to scroll back every time for this terrible chat UI. But we get the search results, and here we see a score, and it's going to show me the top score, which I'm not surprised it hit for San Fran. And we see that this is in kind of a conversation session with, "Hey, Brian, hey there, where is San Francisco? Okay, let's talk about San Francisco." But you'll also notice in this is a hash, this hash here. And that's interesting because that actually is the content addressable hash for that piece of the conversation. And if you start to look at, I guess, LLM conversation turns as just like commits you could check out, really is what it most closely aligns to. Those are content addressable in that we can actually look at the content, derive the exact hash for that, based also on the previous parent's hash in the graph, and then find that exact point in the conversation. So that enables us to do some really interesting stuff where I could do tapes checkout for that hash. And you'll notice then it tells me checked out this hash 3 messages deep, and we can essentially enable chat retries. Maybe we call it like context checkpointing or something. This really is how you can kind of traverse and do many different things across that whole graph of the conversation that you're having with the agent. So then if I go back into tapes, chat, that will drop me into that point in the conversation. You'll notice here resuming from checkpoint, blah blah blah. What was my last message? And it'll tell me that my last message was that exactly. So some interesting validation. But that's kind of the whole and then I also should show tapes deck.
Yes.
Which this is an old build. Let's
go. You could do go run if you're on the repo. Yeah.
Yes. Let me. Wow, I'm really exposing all the things here. That's fine.
Well, for those paying attention, they get all the dirty secrets.
There you go.
About what we're building.
Let's do a quick install. This should be actually get pull origin main. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think you might have to make it a full screen, not full screen, but like you have it in two windows.
Oh, sure.
It's gonna cut off because I was trying to make sure you didn't get a bunch of flicker when you scroll. It's interesting when I built a lot of the tape stack stuff, and then we had a designer help out with some putting the boxes in the right places.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is it was interesting working on this thing because I'm a front end dev who knows how to do pixels on the screen. But they do pixels within a Unix, basically a terminal environment. It's quite different, very different, which is it was a lot of fun to kind of play around with. So
yeah,
what John will show is the dashboard, being able to see all your previous sessions that have been recorded.
All right, so now I just recompiled. I can do a tapes deck, We're still getting some weird colors, but that's, you know what? That's okay. We'll show it off anyway. So you get some interesting things like, the models that's getting used. Oh, I know what this is. Actually, let me just get out of here. This is a weird ZellyJ thing that we should not care about because my crazy workflow makes no sense anyways. So I will session detach, and then I could tape stack, and that will be fine. For anybody who cares, if you use a terminal multiplexer, doing sane ASCII or ANSI rendering in those terminals is a huge pain in the neck. So ZellyJ just hasn't done it. So we get some interesting things in here, like, well, Brian, why don't you maybe speak to this? Because like you said, you designed a lot of this, and it's really solid.
Yeah. So like basically, I was trying to think of like the what do you call it, like mission control for like all your previous sessions. So right now it's actually mostly just like static session content, like summarized with like high level insights.
Yep.
So you can like each session, you have like a token count. Like you can identify some sessions that are longer, some sessions that use more tokens. And the idea is like you kind of want to get like a visualization of this first. So like the sessions that get over like 200,000 tokens, like those are ones that probably have a lot of good information, but probably end up getting in a weird like hallucination, or I can't, like back in the day, like maybe Sonnet for I remember it was like 3.5. It was like you get to a point where you get like a debugging session. It's like, oh, I fixed the problem, but you have 7 tests to fail that are not related to this, so I'm not going to fix those. And that's like when you get to like the top of the session window, like 250 to 500, like you just kind of have too much context in there. So then they added compaction to this. So what I'm getting at is like you can kind of see sessions that are working, and you have like a high level success rate and failure rate of sessions. You can see costs as well. So I love that Claude Code actually does a bit of a model routing for you. So if you say the word high, it's going to use haiku. Like, and I've actually been testing this. Like, you ask like what the weather or like about like San Fran and stuff like that. It might go in the Sonnet because it might be like a web search.
Oh, sure.
But you can kind of see it do its model routing. But then when you're like, I was working on a thing all day yesterday, off and on. But that like dropped into 4.6 Opus, and you can kind of see those sessions. So like the idea there is like high level, you can see what's happening, see some numbers, see how this is like basically solo single player mode right now. I would love to get to a point where you have like multiplayer. You can see like I see John's sessions. We're hosting this up in the cloud. He can see my sessions. I could identify like if John's working on something super gnarly, I'd be like, cool. I want to pull that context and like build like a skill or whatever into like as I'm starting to work on this thing myself. So think of like the handoff would be super useful. And then when you click into it, you can actually go break into like actual input and output tokens and like prompts that are being shared.
Right.
And that's basically what we have so far is it's like this is a visualization of that. And then we have a web UI version of this as well, which is -- web, which folks can leave that for the exercise for the listener to take a look at. But we're at the moment, like we're kind of like sourcing feedback, like folks who leverage this, find out if this is useful, like what other things are missing. I think we've so far got some issues on adding different providers like Bedrock and Vertex for the enterprise level. But yeah, it's a pretty nifty tool so far. It's mostly just like you kind of have to know what you're looking at if you're going to be leveraging this. So I think next steps would be like, how do we start teaching people and then alerting people of like, hey, you've got some sessions that are related to the thing you're about to do. Like, did you want to pull some context in or like generate a skill to like help you along the ride? Right. Actually, I mentioned that would actually be a pretty killer, like, because you're working on like some other stuff that we'll hopefully announce in the next couple of weeks. There's a world where I start shipping like some like side quest around that, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm looking at the code, but like I would love to have some context of John, like if I just did like WWJD, like what would John do? Oh, no. Like tapes WWJD, and then I could like pull in John's context, and then I'm good and have confidence that like my open code's going to do what I need it to do.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it may honestly even be simpler than that, where like this is my dev env is kind of weird because I've been playing around with a bunch of this stuff, so I'm pretty sure this database is there's nothing in here. But I mean, like this whole database is 3 megabytes, so I could just send it to you. You could put it into its own checkout and be like, let me just explore the entire thing, John's brain, with the embeddings, the actual content, all the content. Why settle for just WWJD when you could get I guess the whole Bible?
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Yes, like we can bring the word
to the
to
agents.
bless the agents of of software. But
Oh
the other
man,
thing is like would be interesting with this is like you're building the software for like let's say you go like 6 weeks skunk works, and then you start scaling a team. And this happens a ton when I was at GitHub.
yeah,
It's like actually Copilot was this. It was like a small 6-person team, and then now it's a giant organization. But like, what if
yeah,
you could have like all those like design docs, all the like documentation of like why we made these decisions, like they all exist in places people aren't going to read. Like let's just be frank, like engineers are smart enough to like go like foo themselves in the like console logs and like breakpoints and stuff like that to figure
sure,
it out. But like, what if we like take out that step and like we're already using agents? Agents can just have like the whole package of your 3 megabyte database of like sessions,
yeah,
and then we can sort of like with the hashes be able to filter it down to like stuff that matters for like the team to onboard. So like all onboarding happens if like you get a tape session that you sort of play in your system.
right,
Um,
right,
the analogy is working really well. I'm super excited about the stuff we're building next
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'd love to play these. I would love to play these tapes on a stereo system in the future. So like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
should definitely build that.
I agree. It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, yeah, exciting. But yeah, that's basically the demo. I think I'll probably end up throwing together a video tomorrow for YouTube and X and LinkedIn and stuff like that to kind of like tell that broader story.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I'd mention is like if you do tapes deck dash dash demo, it does seed a bunch of dummy data. So like a lot of times you're
Oh,
probably you'll want to play around with it, but you don't have any sessions to record. So
sure, sure.
I was thinking about that because I was like pitching Issa on some extra help to do some stuff for us. But I was
Where
like,
does it drop that database?
it drops it in a demo SQLite. So it's like
Oh,
tapes dash demo dot SQLite, and it just seeds it with a bunch of like dummy data.
oh. This
Yeah,
is actually pretty great. I
yeah, and then the
wow,
goal.
I
Yeah.
didn't know you shipped this.
Oh yeah, I got to read the release notes.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
should
yeah.
probably do release notes to be honest.
I know.
No, I was basically yeah. I kind of slid that in when I was putting together the new UI last Friday, and
Nice.
because I wanted to demo it, and the demo needed some data. So if you do dash F, which is force, it will overwrite it with new dates because like this
Oh,
will be
sure.
the data will be old. So yeah, basically I was just trying to think through if I was standing on stage or like doing a pitch for somebody,
Yeah.
like how can I tell the story pretty quickly.
And that yeah, so then that's just oh nice. Wow, that's even smaller. 52 kilobytes. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just enough to show the bars,
Yeah.
the colors.
See, SQLite is just it's just like really it's just really wonderful technology. Like it's crazy to
Yeah,
me how good even just building some of this was, which, didn't spend a ton of time thinking through some of the like deep like performance data structure stuff, but that even it helped us go pretty far, which is nice, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So we're at the top of the hour, so we only
Yeah.
planned for an hour. I don't know if you had anything else to chat about, but I think we have learned how to stream. We both like sort of blowing off the dust on our Steam decks
Yep.
eventually.
Yep.
So yeah, hopefully next week we'll have like a topical conversation and demos. And then I should probably mention that we have a podcast we host every other week called Open Source Ready.
Yep.
This is a legacy podcast on your iPods, and we have guests that we talk to about the stuff in the industry. Again, probably AI related. Every now and then we have a non-AI conversation, but really focus around open source and
Yep.
yeah, the sort of secret sauce around that.
Yeah.
So check it out, and then I will post this as like I'll do a newsletter for this as well that will go out tomorrow, kind of summarizing our conversation, and then like sort of like we have like 1,000 people signed up to that newsletter, so at least we'll give them something
Something to look
like
at.
this sort of open source ready live.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that sounds wonderful. This will also be on the YouTube channel here, so could always go back and watch it. Um, Yeah, brushing off the dust feels good.
Yeah. This is great. Yeah, I next week I'll probably figure out how to simulcast this to um, X and LinkedIn and whatever. But I think we'll probably just need to like get a restream set up, so that way we don't have to
Yeah,
worry. Like if you guys are using Riverside, don't use Riverside for this. It's not good.
sounds like the play. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, we can end stream and
All right.
go back to work.
Sounds like a plan. What do we say? Listeners, stay ready.
Yeah, listeners, stay ready.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all